everybody. Kay Crystal Griffith here, and welcome back for your daily digest of emotions, wisdom, and your body. Note to self, once you turn on transcriptions, it picks up every single thing that you say. You should be in the know of that now. Yeah, there's a whole story there. Okay, now that we are on track and we know where we're heading and we know what transcription picks up, I would like to welcome you back for every day of 2021, where we are going to delve into how your emotions affect your body, soul, and spirit. So today, I just want to remind you, I am a researcher. I'm not a medical doctor, and I really want to just edify you, educate you, and encourage you on how your emotions are really affecting your body. I do have a master's. I have several inner healing accreditations and trauma certifications. So I might have a little bit of knowledge in this area, but I really want to show you how you can be in better charge of your emotions and all the effects that they have running through you. So what's our verse in what's our word for today? It is contentment. How do we stay in a state of contentment? Now, what does contentment really mean? So contentment in this is a state of happiness or satisfaction. It's also an emotional state to where you can see it in a mental effect or your state of mind. It may be drawn from being at ease in one situation, as in your body and your mind. Contentment can also be a state of having accepted one situation and is a little milder, maybe more tentative than just happiness. Okay. So let's just qualify a couple of different things. The difference between contentment and satisfaction is that contentment is the state or degree of being contented, while satisfaction is the fulfillment of a need or desire. So satisfaction is being the fulfillment. Contentment is what it could lead to. Now, what about happiness? Happiness is really a short-term feeling of joy and satisfaction, absolutely conditional on your circumstance or experience of what you're having in that moment. Now, contentment, on the other hand, is that long-term feeling of peace and fulfillment of where you are in life and what you have. Now, notice we just said satisfaction was the fulfillment. Do you see how these tend to be used interchangeably in their definitions? Now, there's two more words I want to talk to you about. One is gratitude, and we did a whole section on gratitude early on in January. So double check that one and make sure you catch up with us. So gratitude is what you feel towards someone who has done something kind or nice, maybe even beneficial, or made your life a little easier, so to speak, or better. Gratitude is feeling thankful. Contentment is the state of having no major complaints about your life and conditions. So you can have gratitude and contentment, both. They can both lead to happiness and then also lead to you being satisfied with your life. They can all build on one another as well. Now, there's one other word to talk about here, and this one is another C word. And this one's important because we tend to think sometimes if you're content, you're being this, but you're not. So what are we talking about? The difference between contentment and complacency. So contentment is to be happy with what you have and find satisfaction in your present circumstances. Perhaps even be grateful that you are in your present circumstances, especially if you compare it to something that may have been worse that you could have been in the middle of. Complacency, though, is being unsatisfied with how your life is in the moment, but still being unwilling to make changes. You're just fine with being unsatisfied. Maybe you are lazy and you don't want to make the changes because they'd be too hard. More likely, though, instead of it being lazy, it's probably fear. Fear of what could happen, good or bad, if you did make those changes. Because sometimes we get in such a comfort place that we would rather know what to expect, even if it's not great, than not know what to expect, even though it could be better. And that's a fear factor. And we talk about that in fear early on in January as well. So catch that one. Now, from a biblical perspective, contentment is a resting or satisfaction of mind without disquiet. It's an acquiescence, a contentment. And without external honor, it's usually humility. where your contentment of you're happy where you are, you know you are placed in the right place, and you are where you are supposed to be in that moment for that time, and you are great with it, right? Now, it doesn't mean it's always perfect or it's always where you want to be, but you are exactly where you know you're supposed to be in that moment. Now, is this positive or negative? Well, I'm going to tell you that all of contentment truly is positive, because if you're content, then you are willing to be okay with where you are, even if it's leading to complacency, because it's really, that's on you to choose not to change it for yourself, right? No matter what that reasoning is, it's still up to you. So technically, contentment is all positive. So what are we really talking about for the body effects? When we express gratitude and we receive the same, and for this experience, we're going to kind of interchange those, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin. Those are the two crucial neurotransmitters responsible for our emotions, and they're what makes us feel good. Dopamine's also where we get our reward center from. So if we are feeling good and we're content in where we are, that makes us feel good because of that release of dopamine, then we will tend to stay there because that dopamine will release as a reward for what we are in the middle of, and it makes us feel good. So it's a good cycle to be in for that dopamine piece. Now, Time Magazine ran a special that showed that happiness, hopefulness, optimism, and contentment appear to reduce the risk or limit the severity of cardiovascular disease. So if you're actually happy, you have hope, you have a good outlook, right, and you're content, then guess what you're doing? You're actually helping your health. This is a good place to be. So you're lowering your cardiovascular disease, also your pulmonary disease, diabetes reduces, hypertension reduces, colds and upper respiratory infections tend to be non-existent. They're reduced greatly. And then while depression, which is the extreme opposite of happiness, can worsen though, heart disease, diabetes, and these other host of illnesses we just talked about. So if we know that depression, which is the opposite, and we have talked about that one, as well as anxiety and panic, those all make things worse. Contentment, optimism, the state of satisfaction, of gratitude, happiness, those are going to help your health. So that's where we want to stay, right? I loved this term that I found as I was looking at, could you have too much contentment? And this is the coolest word. How about infectious contentment? Isn't that cool? I love that. We need to have infectious contentment. Now, what the heck does that mean? Joy and contentment with what you have shines on those around you. And that impact is what you can have on others as well. Yeah, have you ever heard, smiling then get somebody else smiling? It's the same thing. That joy that you feel, that contentment in your life, that satisfaction, even if for a moment, can be infectious to someone else. Now, we've been wearing a lot of masks that cover up our smiles lately, right? I tend to like the ones where you can see because the deaf need to be able to read our lips, right? Now, if you can't see somebody smile, what else could you look at to know that they are smiling? Right there. So your eyes should also be smiling when you smile. It's by nature of the beast how your body works, and your brain and in your face as well, all those muscles. So when you smile, this pulls up and people know that you're smiling through your eyes, even if they can't see this lovely mouth of yours. Okay, now let's just talk one more second. If you have infectious contentment, it is so infectious, this joy, this contentment that you're drawing others in with, it's really draws them to a place that they want to know why you have so much joy. What is it in your life that's so much better than theirs? Now, I said it that way on purpose. Is your life really better than theirs? Probably not in reality. You probably have some hardships. You probably have some challenges going on. Life may not be a bed of roses, what you're walking through. But in that moment of what you're walking through, you're choosing to do something that perhaps they don't know about or they don't do, which is trust in Jesus, which is trusting in the fact that the Lord knows exactly where you are and he hasn't left you and he's walking with you through it. And when we have that infectious joy and we know that we are not alone, no matter what the chaos is that we're having to walk through, right? that allows us to walk in more freedom of just being content in our moment. Isn't that awesome? So there are so many benefits to knowing who the king is. Let me tell you. So here's a couple of ways to increase contentment in your life. One, practice gratitude. And sometimes it's just a matter of thinking about 3 things that you're grateful for in your day. Now, I would challenge you to not say the same 3 every day. Like, really think about what's going on in your life and who you could be thankful for in it. Take control of your attitude. You're the only one that can. And that attitude is also your reactions to whatever chaos you are encountering in the moment. So today, it could have been the Coke that spilled all over the counter, down the cabinets, and down the floor. Yay, I got to mop the floor today. At least it's clean, all right? So sometimes it's just about how we see things. Yes, I drink the leaded stuff, that and my sweet tea. All right, another one is breaking your buying habit. Now, why in the world would that have anything to do with contentment? No, this is not the Dave Ramsey show, but we do appreciate him. All right, so the idea here is if you understand more of what you're feeling, your actual feeling, and why you think that you need to buy that, you could potentially ask yourself, okay, so I think I need to buy this. Do I really need it? Name 3 things that I'm going to use this item for. If it's not usable in your house for at least 3 uses, you don't need to buy it. And then, is this a seasonal item? Here in the Rockies, we never really put our shorts away. We never really put our long sleeve shirts away because like today it was 57. It was beautiful and you could have walked outside with a short sleeve shirt. And tomorrow it may be -5 and you're going to need all your clothes in your closet on. So we don't really put anything away. So we don't have really seasonal clothes here, right? But a lot of other people do. So that's different, right? We know that we're going to use them in another season. But what we're really talking about is how many orange peelers do you really need in your drawer? Now, you can never seem to find one, even if you own 10. But the point is, do not go by number 11 because the first 10 are floating somewhere in your kitchen and you should try and find them. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Really thinking about what do I think that I need and why do I think I lack that I need to go buy that? So there is an emotional connection when we're buying things. So just a challenge to you. The next time you go to buy something online, at the store, wherever that is, because I know we're doing a lot of online things right now, really ask yourself, what are 3 uses I'm going to have for this? And why do I really think I need it? If you're buying out of boredom, man, it's an amazing situation to your bank account when you stop buying out of boredom. You have a lot more money than you realize. Now, how about stop it comparing yourself to others? Folks, there's always going to be a Joneses out there. There are always going to be people with bigger, better, more. It doesn't matter. Where are you content in where you are? And if we choose to be content in what we have, and it may not be where you want to be right now, that's okay. But if you're content in what you do have and you're thankful, you're grateful that I have a roof over my head in some form or fashion, and I have food in my belly, it might not be everything that I want, and it might not be as filling as I would like it to be. In that moment, we begin to transform our mindsets. We begin to break curses of poverty, of a lack, of victim mentality, when we can say thank you in our moments. Now, this does not mean that if you are in moments of abuse, if you are in moments of neglect, that I want you to stay there. I am not saying that at all. I want you to get help. I want you to seek help. And if you don't know where to go, I want you to reach out to me, and I will find you the resources that can help you, because that's not what I'm saying. I am saying in this moment, things may not always be what you want them to be, but how can we shift and change that outlook to get where you want to go? And that's what we can help you with as well. So the last piece is helping others. Now, how do we do that? Well, one, learning what you're content with and where you want to go and where you are right now is also impacting those around you. Because if you can see that for yourself, you can then help others see that for themselves. Now, Now, that doesn't mean you can force them to. You can lead a horse to water and you can't make them drink, right? But if you can learn to model contentment, then it's amazing what happens to those in your sphere of influence. The other thing is never stop growing, never stop learning, never stop discovering. That is not contentment. Contentment is not stopping. Contentment is just going, wow, this is amazing right now. Thank you for where I am right now. What do I need to learn to go to a different place, to go to the next place? What's my next mission, Lord, in the kingdom that you want me to learn something so I can apply it there as well? So we're fine with where we are and who we are as contentment, but we're also learning what God wants to use with our gifts and abilities and talents that he's already put within you, because you have to develop them to deeper, bigger levels, right? And so you can know certain things about your gifts, but man, as you grow in them and you strengthen them and you work in them, it's like your muscles. They just get bigger and stronger. And then you can bench press from 10 pounds to 100 pounds, right? Because of what you've done with those muscles that the Lord's given you. So what are our wisdom verses for today? A contented Christian is one who knows God's sovereignty. Well, what's God's sovereignty? That's the supreme power or authority of doing everything he needed to do, and he did. Now, a lot of people associate that with control. And so we say God is in control. Well, I would challenge that notion. Because if God was in control, he would be a dictator and he would control every situation, not just the ones he wants to control. Now, can God influence situations? Absolutely. Can God change his mind? Absolutely. We see that several times in the Bible, right? And so if we look at sovereignty from the place of God has given us supreme power and authority, and he has done everything he needed to do to give us that authority, right? And he did. How did he do it? He sent his son. And that in itself, sending Jesus to die on the cross, to rise again, right? That was everything he ever needed to do. So we could have complete relationship with him. Isn't that awesome? I love that. So from that point, God is the ultimate supreme sovereignty, right? And so Paul, while he was in chains, do you remember Paul in the Bible? He was put in chains a lot. I think he saw the inside of prison more than he saw the sunshine during his years as Christian. He tells us, I am not saying this because I am in need for, I have learned to be content in whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content, that in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that last part, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, that's really the definition of contentment right there. Knowing that God is going to give you the strength to see you through, to be with you in the moment, to be present with you in that moment, and to know what's coming for you. And that is contentment. That's Philippians 4:11 through 13. Job 36:11, if they obey and serve him, they will spend the rest of their days in prosperity and their years in contentment. And then lastly, Proverbs 14:30, a heart at peace gives life to the body. So how are you going to use this new information about contentment? What in there kind of sparked your interest? What was new for you? So remember, wisdom is the hearing, understanding, and application. Here are your 3 questions for the day. How has contentment been showing up in your life? Has it been missing? Has it been positive or negative? Has it been negative in the way that it was more of a comparison to what somebody else may have had? And how can you transform this emotion, this contentment? By wisdom. How can you deepen it? How can you grow it? How can you make it rooted really strongly within your heart? By wisdom, understanding, and the application as you move forward in it. So take those scriptures and apply your name to them. For example, Proverbs 14:30. A heart at peace gives life to Crystal's body. I love it when we add our names. Isn't that so cool? So go live, share with me what you learned about contentment tonight. Tomorrow's word is a little bit of the opposite. It's hostile. I suspect we've all been a little hot under the collar at some point in our life, right? So let's talk a little more about that one tomorrow. So tomorrow, more on emotions, wisdom, in your body. Register at K Crystal Griffith to receive more insights and your feelings wheel. Until then, you guys have a blessed day. Take care.